welcome to all lovers of thought and philosophy.
Today we're going to talk about Seneca and his timeless wisdom on how to make the most of our time.
Seneca was a Stoic philosopher from ancient Rome. In one of our videos, we discussed the Stoics and mentioned that Stoic philosophy is a practical approach that can be highly effective in everyday life. Seneca wrote a book called On the Shortness of Life, where he talks about time. Based on this book, we want to share with you 10 of Seneca's tips on time management. Seneca's first piece of advice is to treat time as an incredibly valuable treasure. Keep in mind, when the Stoics talk about wealth, they don't just mean money. For example, health, peace of mind, happiness, and freedom are all forms of wealth. Good family and friends are also considered wealth. From this perspective, a balanced person doesn't only seek to become rich in terms of money, but strives to become truly wealthy. And wealth, according to the Stoics, includes all of these things, plus time as a key component. Time is one of the most valuable treasures for humans, yet it's a treasure that becomes scarcer each day and, unlike money, cannot be reclaimed. Think about it. Aside from gamblers, most people are very cautious about how they spend their money, making sure not to waste it on unnecessary things. We need to adopt the same attitude toward time. In fact, we should be even more careful with our time because, as I mentioned, it's a resource that constantly diminishes and can never be recovered. Wasting time is worse than wasting money. If you lose money, there's always a chance to earn it back, perhaps even more than before. But once time is gone, it's gone forever, and there's no way to make up for it. Yet, many people spend their time aimlessly, as if they've forgotten that time is a limited and incredibly valuable asset. Some people might think that time is infinite, as if we're going to live forever. If we saw someone burning their money, we'd probably think they were crazy. Similarly, someone who wastes their time and spends it aimlessly is just as irrational, if not worse, because they're throwing away a treasure that can never be recovered.
Another unique aspect of time is that we don't know how much of it we have left. Unlike money, we can't check our account to see the exact balance. No one can say with certainty how much longer they'll live. But what's clear is that whatever time remains, it's limited and steadily running out. It's often said, to understand the value of a year, ask a student who failed their exams. To understand the value of a month, ask a mother whose baby was born a month early or late. To understand the value of a week, talk to the editor of a weekly newspaper. To understand the value of an hour, ask a traveler who missed their flight. To understand the value of a second, ask a pedestrian who narrowly avoided being hit by a falling flower pot. And to understand the value of a millisecond, ask a race car driver who missed the gold medal and had to settle for silver. Making the most of our time is closely tied to our sense of satisfaction and self-contentment. When you reflect on your day before going to sleep, if you've used your time wisely, you'll feel a sense of pride and fulfillment. On the other hand, if you've wasted your time, you're likely to feel regret and guilt. To avoid this, let's start seeing time as a precious treasure from this very moment. Seneca's second piece of advice is that we shouldn't spend all our time obsessing over the future, just as we shouldn't devote it entirely to fleeting, momentary pleasures. We need to strike a balance between these two. Seneca advises dedicating a specific part of our day to planning and preparing for the future, but the rest should be lived as if today were our last. Finding this balance is crucial. While it's important to allocate time for future planning, we shouldn't completely postpone happiness for some distant point in time. Instead, we should strive to find joy in the present moment. The idea of working tirelessly until retirement, believing that only then we can finally enjoy life and our time, doesn't make sense from Seneca's perspective. The future is unpredictable and beyond our control. There are no guarantees. The retirement we're sacrificing so much for might never come. Sometimes we're so consumed by worrying about the future that we lose track of how we're spending our present. We pin our hopes on a happiness that awaits us in the future, but we're blind to the moment we're living in, the moment where we're alive, but not truly living. Like robots on autopilot, we go through the same routines daily, hoping for a better future. In the end, when we grow old and find ourselves on our deathbeds, that's when we realize how short and precious life was. We regret not making the most of our time. Of course, we need both short-term and long-term plans for the future. This is essential for a purposeful life. But this shouldn't prevent us from enjoying the present and living fully today. Ultimately, life can only be experienced moment by moment, and none of those moments will ever come back. So, in short, maintaining a balance between enjoying today and planning and working for a better tomorrow is essential for a fulfilling life.
Seneca's third piece of advice is to spend as much time as possible pursuing your goals and dreams. We all have our own aspirations, but many of them remain just that, dreams that are never realized. Instead, we end up stuck in a reality where we work jobs we don't love just to earn a paycheck or stay in relationships we're not passionate about simply because we fear being alone. In essence, we live passively, accepting whatever life throws our way. Then, to justify our situation, we deceive ourselves by saying we don't have enough time to chase our dreams. But in reality, the lack of time is often a choice we've made. By dedicating all our time to things we don't truly care about or desire, we trap ourselves and waste the precious time of our lives. We let days, months, and years slip by, proudly telling ourselves we're fulfilling our responsibilities and obligations to others, while neglecting our own dreams and passions. But have we been committed to our own dreams and desires? This is a question we need to ask ourselves. From Seneca's perspective, the best way to invest our time is to spend it building the life we want and working toward our dreams. We shouldn't tell ourselves, what's the point of sitting down and thinking about what I really want to do? I don't have enough time anyway. Now let's imagine that if you had more hours in the day, what would you do with that extra time? Or what if you had enough opportunity to change something in your environment or in yourself? What would you change? You might realize that you'd like to have a different job, or get in better shape by exercising, or learn a new skill. Once you understand what you truly want, the next steps become clearer. This could motivate you to wake up 1 hour earlier in the morning and use that hour to do what you love. Or, instead of sitting in front of the TV at night, aimlessly switching channels, you could dedicate that hour to something you enjoy. Have you noticed that among office workers, those who like exercising often find a gym near their workplace and spend their lunch hour working out before getting back to work? Compare this to someone who eats lunch and then spends the time scrolling through Instagram, liking photos and checking out other people's posts until their break is over, and they return to work. Who is making better use of their time here? Keep in mind that if you truly enjoy something, and it matters to you, you will always find the time to do it.
Seneca's fourth piece of advice is about planning and preparing for the tasks we need to do. Planning means knowing in advance what important tasks we need to accomplish today. We write them down, and at the end of the day, we review whether we were able to complete them successfully. This approach helps us commit to our time. On the other hand, if you ask someone, "What's your plan for after work today?" and they say, "I don't have any special plans, I'll just go home and see what happens," chances are their time will pass quickly and they won't get anything meaningful done. So planning helps us stay committed to our time and use it effectively. Now let's look at what Seneca means by preparation. For example, my plan is to go to the theater tonight after work. Preparation means thinking ahead so I don't waste time getting tickets or even going there, only to find out that there are no tickets available. I can book them online in advance. Or if I need to get gas, I can do that during the day when it's less crowded, so I don't waste time at night. These steps make sure everything is ready and I can use my time with peace of mind. So that's what preparation is all about.
Seneca's fifth piece of advice is to give ourselves short-term rewards. This way, we create a stronger motivation to make better use of our time. Keep in mind, whenever a person does something, their mind is looking for pleasure and reward from that task. That's why we never feel lazy about doing things that give instant pleasure. For example, it's strange for someone to say, "I want to eat chocolate, but I don't feel motivated," or "I'm too lazy to watch my favorite show." However, when it comes to tasks that require a lot of effort and time to see results, we often feel lazy and want to put them off. Instead of making progress, we waste time. Seneca's suggestion for tasks that are exhausting and take a long time is to reward ourselves after every step or milestone. This creates motivation in our minds to keep going. For example, let's say I want to write a book. Writing a book is a long, time-consuming and tiring process. So, I make a deal with myself. After I finish each chapter, I can reward myself by going to my favorite restaurant and having a meal. Otherwise, I won't set foot in that restaurant. Now, because my mind unconsciously looks forward to that reward, it helps me stay motivated, increase my productivity, and ultimately use my time more effectively.
Seneca's sixth piece of advice for time management is to make better use of our free time. He says that the main problem for many people is not a lack of time, but wasting the free time they have. Notice that nowadays, people work 8 or 9 hours a day to earn money, and with that money, they enjoy the free time they have left. The problem is that often, even the free time they have is wasted on unimportant things. Even if you have just 1 hour of free time every night, make sure you have a clear plan for it. Use it for something purposeful, enjoyable, and meaningful. Also, Seneca believed we should avoid overtime. Even if you love your job, 8 hours of work a day is enough. Don't overwork. Use the free time that you gain to read books, learn a new art or skill, exercise, or take a walk in nature. So, make sure you use your free time wisely and with intention.
Seneca's seventh piece of advice is to remember the past and learn from it. If we divide time into 3 parts, past, present, and future, the only part we can truly learn from is the past. The present is constantly flowing and quickly passing by, and the future is almost uncertain with no guarantees. Therefore, the only part of time that is certain and unchangeable is the past. That's why the past should guide us toward the future. Seneca says that the worst way to deal with time is to forget the past, neglect the present, and worry about the future. Some people say, what's done is done and we should forget the past. But from Seneca's perspective, this is not the right approach. He doesn't say we should always look back and live in the past. No, Seneca advises that we set aside some time each day to reflect on the past and learn from it. Learning from the past helps us use our time better moving forward. It might seem obvious, but the flaw many people have is that they forget the past and fail to learn from it. For example, a gambler who loses a lot of money overnight and promises not to gamble again, only to forget that lesson after a few months and return to the casino. Another benefit of reflecting on the past is that it helps us see where we've come from and the path we've travelled to get to where we are now. What kind of person were we in the past? And how have we changed over time? By thinking about the past, we become aware of our changes and understand the reasons behind them. We realise how our current personality has been shaped, and based on that, we can decide how we want to be in the future. We should set aside time to think about the past so we can understand how much luck, our own efforts, and the help of others have contributed to our successes and failures. Reflecting on the past helps us recognise the importance of our responsibilities in the events that happened, and it can make us more responsible moving forward. The past is the best teacher. If we don't look back, we might constantly compare ourselves to others today, which is essentially a mistake. Reflecting on the past allows us to compare our present self with our past self. We can see the progress we've made toward our goals and the journey that still lies ahead. When I go hiking, I love to sometimes look back at the path I've taken from the base of the mountain to where I am now. It gives me energy to continue. I tell myself, if I've made it this far, I can go all the way to the summit.
Seneca's eighth piece of advice is not to spend your time aimlessly. Unfortunately, we waste a large portion of our time without purpose. There are many examples of this. Wasting time on social media, looking at photos and selfies of people who have no impact on our lives, listening to news that has nothing to do with us, or flipping through TV channels without really knowing what we're searching for. Social media is a major time waster because it's intentionally designed to keep people engaged for longer periods. Now here's a question. Would you be willing to pay $200 every day without getting any product, service, or benefit in return? Logically, you wouldn't do that. Just like we get frustrated when money is taken from us, we shouldn't let social media take away our time every day. We shouldn't allow others to take our time with random messages, calls, or unnecessary requests. With phones and the internet, we feel like it's our duty to always be available to everyone, giving away our precious time. Of course, this doesn't mean we should ignore others, but experience shows that happy and successful people, instead of giving all their time to others, spend most of it working toward their own goals and dreams.
Seneca's ninth piece of advice is to use our time to create memories and new experiences. If you give a successful businessman some capital, he will invest it where it will bring the highest return. Similarly, time is a resource we have, and we should spend it in ways that provide the best return. One of the best returns on time is creating valuable experiences and memories. Good memories and exciting experiences are the highlights of our lives. For example, you might wake up every morning for months, go to work, return home in the evening, watch some TV, have dinner, and sleep. Then repeat the same routine every day. When you look back, it feels like all of that passed in an instant, and there are no highlights in your memory because nothing special happened. Now, if you've gone on an exciting trip for just 1 week to a place with new food, fresh streets, a different culture, and stunning nature, that 1 week will stand out vividly in your memory. When you think back, that trip will stay with you, not the days spent caught in the routine and monotony of life. New experiences shape our character and change us from the inside. Buying the latest iPhone won't change us, but traveling to a distant country will transform us. Our character is the result of the things we've done, the places we've been, the things we've seen, and the conversations we've had. We are the sum of our experiences. Unfortunately, we spend so much of our time chasing money and material things that we don't leave room to create exciting memories and experiences. In the blink of an eye, we grow old. And although we've gained money and material possessions, we feel like life has passed by in a flash and we didn't fully make the most of it. I wish, instead of spending all our time acquiring material things, we spent more time gaining valuable experiences and memories. At the moment of death, what we will think about, what will give our life meaning, are the memories, experiences, friendships, and moments of love.
So, Seneca's final piece of advice is that we must dedicate time to philosophy. Seneca says that people who think philosophically about the world can experience a higher level of life. Whether our lives are short or long, the important thing is to give them meaning and live them philosophically, reflecting on ethics, truth, death, and the meaning of life. Discovering the truth and getting closer to reality is one of the most valuable things we can do with our time. Let's not neglect reading books, because in a book, years of time are condensed and focused, and by reading it, We add that concentrated time to the meaningful moments of our own lives. I'll quote Seneca here. If a person has white hair and a wrinkled face, it doesn't mean they've lived long. It means they've been alive for a long time. Living is different from just being alive. In the end, I hope we use our time to truly live, not just to exist. In this short life, a person has enough time to learn, succeed, and achieve their goals and dreams if they use their time wisely.
Thank you for listening and for your support. Until next time, stay curious.